some people here. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go ahead and get started here. All right. Um,
Mm,
Khadijah, please introduce yourself to us.
gotcha. Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for having me on. Again, you've been killing it with the live stream, so really an honor to be here and speak with you today. And everyone here, thanks for joining the live stream as well. So, I guess some background information on me is, you know, I guess like when I was introduced to the whole like online world, I guess you could say is where I started. So, um, well, actually, even going back further than that. Grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, pretty, interesting place. So, grew up in Ohio kid, born and raised, lived here all my life. And pretty much, did the whole rigmarole, grew up, went to college and stuff in Ohio too, went to Ohio State. Went there as well. So pretty much whole life, Ohio, 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 all the time. And I get and from there, I pretty much during my college years, honestly, is when I actually started, the whole idea of, blogging and stuff. And actually, I got into writing when I was, I've always loved writing ever since I was a little kid. I would write so much, even like the little kids in like elementary school or in up would like always ask, why does she write so much? Or like, why are there so many words on your paper or things like that. I was always like a huge like overwriter, I guess, and I always wrote so much that kids would think it was, dang, you're writing a lot. And so from there I knew like I always kind of had like this knack for writing and stuff. And then I guess it just kind of grew from there. And like I would always, write poetry, things like that. In school, I would always take, language arts and like English class very seriously. I was bad at math, but English and language arts and stuff was, my jam. So I always took it very seriously. Loved writing essays and stuff. And so from there, I guess when I was kind of like a teenager, like around 17 years old, I was like, oh, you can start a blog online. I didn't even know that was, like, really possible at the time, so I was just like, "Oh, well, maybe I can just start a blog or something and start writing something or whatever." And, back then, I was into, like, a lot of I still kinda am, but back then I was into a lot of reality TV. And, I guess you could say I was kinda, like, inspired because that was, like, the really big blogging age where it's just, like, everyone, read blogs and stuff online. That was kinda back when you wanted to, like, make your heyday and stuff. It's like if someone had, like, a huge blog or whatever, it was, like, always, like, a big deal and stuff. And so and I was kinda, like, inspired by, like, kinda like, like the drama blogs, where they would talk about, like, Real Housewives and things like that. Yeah, yeah, so, like, I always, like, read those blogs and things like that, people, like, giving, like, their commentary on, like, reality TV, and that's pretty much what inspired me to start my first blog. That blog lasted, like, all of 2 seconds because I wasn't like I would write sometimes, but I wasn't like super, super committed. Because back then I was just kind of like, well, what should I even write about? What should I even focus on? Should I do reviews or something? And so back then, I probably wrote like a couple blog posts on like the Real Housewives of Atlanta, but then I stopped and abruptly or whatever, that's when, college and everything. And then like in college, I kinda got into, like, a bunch of, like, marketing stuff, I guess, because I wanted to write and stuff, so I was just like, "Well, maybe I can, see if, maybe I can be, like, a freelance writer or something, see if people will be interested in that or whatever." That also lasted all 2 seconds. Again, this was very early when I was, like, really, like, inconsistent, and I was still kinda didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with my life back then, so I was kinda, just, like, going through the motions, and, during that time, I did, like, a variety of, like, odd jobs back then too, I was, like I resold stuff on eBay for a little bit, you know, I would, try to, like, even, like, do, like, ads for people, for companies and stuff, I would like, reach out to certain companies, try and pitch and, see, hey, can I do like these ads for you for free and stuff? I would do that stuff. A lot of like, odd jobs and stuff happened. So I was kind of, just again, like I said, going through the motions. And then I didn't really, really like get serious about my writing until 2020. And again, that was obviously a life-changing time for all of us, I would imagine back then. But 2020 is when I really, really got serious about writing online. That's when I found this website called Medium, um where yeah, it's a pretty much like a social blogging platform for people that don't know what that is. You basically just you can it allows you to basically write articles, and if your articles are like good enough, they can like select them to be curated. And basically curation just means, like, I don't know if they changed this since then, because it's been since I left Medium a long time ago. But back then it was like people that like worked at the Medium company corporation. In terms of curation, they would basically just pick out like quality articles and things like that. Like that was back when like quality was like a huge thing to like get your stuff curated. And like once they like deemed your article was, of, a certain quality, they would be like, okay, so, and they would basically like push your article through the algorithm, kind of like a boost, to your article through the algorithm and stuff like that. And so, and then, again, and also they would like, allow it to be monetized and stuff. And so that's how a lot of people made money back then on Medium. You would post articles, the people working at Medium would decide, whether it was worthy of curation. And after it was curated, it would be, pushed throughout the algorithm, and you would earn money that way with like views and reads, depending on how many people viewed it and read it. And so I made my money on there for like a good while. That's kind of when I started, that was when I started being more consistent, cuz I was hearing these people were making money from, writing articles and stuff. And I was just like, well, if they can be, consistent and things like that, then maybe this is something I should see more seriously and be more consistent at. Cuz I was just like, well, I was just kind of like floundering at that time, not really knowing, what direction to go in. So I was just like, well, let's really try this writing thing out and give it like a fair shot, instead of, just, kind of again like just, trying random things and, trying to see what works and what doesn't. Let's just actually give this a shot, since since I've been into it since I was a kid. So I was just like, well, maybe I should give it a chance. And obviously, back then, you do have, like, your fair share of people. I'm come from like a traditional family and stuff, household and stuff. So, them, me trying to get into like the writing biz and stuff like that, try to make money off my writing, obviously family members kind of, kind of side eyed and were like, are you sure? So, that happens a lot, so, and again, understandable, because again, of, like, how like uh, black households, are like raised and stuff like that, it's kind of like if you're not like, doing like a certain job or, a certain thing, it's kind of not looked at, with the most positive eyes. So, but again, I still, remain strong in my convictions, I guess you could say. And so, I started writing on Medium. During that time, I kind of made like a semi promise to myself to like write and publish an article on Medium every single day for a year. And I actually ended up doing it. And like from there, it's like my views skyrocketed, like the money I was making on the platform skyrocketed. It was really an awesome time. I think I went from like 2,000 monthly views on my blog, so like 2,000 people seeing my blog monthly, to like 20,000. So like that was like a really, really big eye opener for me, just in terms of, consistency and making sure, you start, if you feel like, something's calling you, and you feel like, led to, do something, and you feel like it's meant for you, then, it's important to, start now, and start as soon as possible, and make sure to be like consistent at it too. Cause, most times we're not going to get like immediate rewards, so it's important to remain consistent. So that really showed me the power of consistency. That was a huge lesson that I learned in my life about how important that is. And from there, after Medium, that's kind of when Medium started like going haywire. So, like, I made decent money from Medium for, like, a year and a half to 2 years, but after that, that's kinda when the platform went haywire. If you're on Medium, it was a whole thing. Lots of, like, popular writers from Medium, like, I see are now on Substack, so that kinda just lets you know kinda like the state of Medium. I don't know, might be better now. I don't wanna discourage people from getting on it because the platform helped me out in so many different ways. But, in terms of I would just recommend Substack over Medium right now just because I feel like it's in like a way better spot right now. But, yeah, so, like, a lot of basically, Medium kinda started a lot of creators that were making good money on Medium, like, their earnings cut in half, their views cut in half. There's a lot of reasons why. If anyone's in here and probably knows about that, you probably know, like, a lot like it started hitting the fan in media. And so, yeah, a lot of writers and stuff, weren't satisfied with like their earnings dipping, their views dropping. And it kind of just started to get into like a place where it's just like medium only kind of like, curates or like certain writers, I don't know, kind of started getting a little weird and like favoritist almost. And it just kind of felt like, the platform was kind of geared towards a certain group of people and not necessarily for all anymore, I guess I would say. Oh yeah, Brandon, you said that too? Yeah. Oh, it's getting slightly better? Oh, okay, that's good. I might have to I could I mean, that's good that it's getting slightly better. I hope that for everybody else. I'm not sure. I mean, I might check it out. It's been a while since I've been on there, but yeah. So yeah, but back then it just seemed, like things were going down on Medium. Lots of people jumped ship. People were trying different writing platforms and stuff like that. And but then I got so much, I heard about Substack for a long time because again, a lot of my favorite content creators like Tom Kugler, a lot of like different people, Julie, Shannon, a lot of like content creators that I read a lot on Medium, they moved over to Substack. But like I still never really went on Substack because I felt like, this is probably another flash in the pan platform. Probably not gonna do as well, might end up like Medium and stuff like that. I know that was like a not the best way to look at it, but I think that's kinda just where I was at the time since it just happened. I was just like, "Wow, like, you can't really rely on platforms anymore to make a living." And from there, like, again, 2022-ish, that's when I kinda got into, ghostwriting. And so, during that time, I began, just reaching out to, different entrepreneurs, different coaches, life coaches. I helped a lot of life coaches, health coaches and things like that. I would reach out and pretty much just, offer up, my services. I was just like, well, might as well be a ghostwriter. I learned like a lot of the stuff I got, about being a ghostwriter was from Nicholas Cole, if you've ever heard of him.
Yeah, I
And
heard of.
yeah, and so, pretty much, and, I think I even bought his book way back then, but, like, it wasn't on ghostwriting, it was just about, writing online, but, I pretty much just got, like, a bunch of, like, free stuff. There was someone I knew also, because way prior, I was on X, and X is a whole different beast, but I was on X and, from someone I knew, he was also into ghostwriting too, so he kinda shared some of his resources with me, so I was able to get, like, Nicholas Cole's book, his ghostwriting book and stuff for free because this one guy, he's super cool, helped me out. And so, from there, again, that's kind of where I got all my ghostwriting, knowledge from is just like reading stuff. And so I kind of just, applied all of that and, was pitching people and, asking, and I would, during that time, I was pitching like email courses where it's like I would ghostwrite, educational email courses for people. And from there, So, this whole ghostwriting stint probably lasted maybe, like, 9 months. Because during that time and I was getting, like, some clients and stuff, so that was really cool too. Really taught me a lot about pitching too and, like, how to, like, pitch people properly. So, I ghost wrote, like, a book for somebody. I ghost wrote, obviously, some email courses for people and stuff like that. So, it was definitely a needed experience, one that really helped me in my life. But, during that time ghostwriting, I probably, ghostwriting is a pretty competitive and kind of like saturated field. So I kind of was like undercharging a lot for my services. And, during that time, again, Medium went down. So I was just trying to, get some money, you know, get it how you can get it. And so, during that time, I was kind of, charging, low amounts for my services. And and there's an important point. When you charge low, people are gonna start, it kinda gives people, like, that sort of cushion to kinda treat you not the best, kinda treat you badly. And so, I was getting, a lot of kind of those people, where, I ran, a whole thing happened with this one lady and, she seemed real nice at first, but again, during that and again, she seemed really, really nice when we first got on the call. I closed her, and she seemed really excited. I was excited too. She seemed like a really sweet lady, but things just got sour during the whole process. I would write stuff for her, try really, really hard. She seemed to get really picky and micromanagey. It seemed like everything like I sent her, I was trying my best to, listen to her feedback. I was just like, oh, okay, so how about this and things like that. She would get really angry and think that I was kinda disrespecting her craft. That's kinda how she took it, and I was kinda confused because, like, she would tell me to do one thing, I would do it, and then she would say, "Why did you do that?" Kinda like that. And, I was kinda just kinda taken aback. I've never really experienced stuff like that before. And so it kinda soured, my experience a bit, and, again, during that time, again, I had another person who, kinda, you know, kinda didn't again, another person that just didn't treat me the best. So, again, you definitely wanna make sure you're charging what you're worth and not, trying and not underselling or undercharging yourself,
Let
and
me I'm sorry to
no, no,
stop
go ahead,
there.
Margaret. Oh, go ahead.
How do we know? It's about how much a person is willing to spend.
Mhm.
That's very subjective, okay? How much to charge for your services.
Yeah. So, when it comes to that, I guess the best advice I would give is really only you know in your heart, but it's really just how much well, let me go back. There are I don't think people realize how many people that are online right now that probably have no problem or probably do charge like crazy amounts of money for their services and they probably don't even know. They probably just started yesterday. you know, like I'm serious. Like I've seen it. Like it's like rampant online, and those people are the most confident in charging that amount. Surprising, like, and they just started yesterday or like 2 weeks ago, and they're just like, "Well, I can charge this, so, whatever." And so, it's kinda like, you don't like, I've just seen it so much online where and again, it's pretty like, they're really, really confident too. So, it's just
Yeah.
like, you just started yesterday and you feel like you can charge this amount? Well, okay, as long as it works. But see, that's the thing, that's what I'm saying, like, that's kinda like what we're going up against. It's kinda, like I've seen it online so many times, and so that's why it's super, super important to charge what you're worth, especially, only you really know, how experienced you are, how hard you've worked on a skill and how much you know about something. Knowledge is again, like we say, knowledge is power. And so, when and so I understand, about like not necessarily knowing what to charge or how to charge or what should I do, but it's really about so I didn't feel like I could really charge what I charge now until I felt like I had enough experience to be like, okay, like I actually can. And again, I don't want to deal with people that are just gonna be, when I charge a small amount, people are either gonna take that and just be able to be rude, be bad to work with. You don't want to work with people that are just bad to work with, people that stress you out and things like that. So honestly, it's a way to kind of keep those people away. And you also don't want to work with people that are going to be like uncommitted, people that just pay and then just sort of ghost. So honestly, again, you wanna keep those people away. You wanna keep away, mean people, that'll take advantage and, uncommitted people. You wanna weed those people out. And you also wanna, again, charge what you're worth because the person that just started yesterday is probably charging more than you, and you've probably been in this business for, like, 5 plus years.
Yeah.
And so, like, you honestly just have to, again, know how much experience you have, know the skills you have, and know, like, the people you can help. Because it's important, like, to know, again, like, a plumber, like, I would like, whatever, like, a plumber, like, would charge, I would pay it because I need my toilet fixed, and I know nothing about how to get my toilet fixed, and they know everything about it. And so that's what it's about.
Yes, I wanna ask you a question before I forget.
Mhm.
Uh, I probably just did. How do you choose these people? How do you decide who to work with or not? Because for me, I have to have a conversation with you before we do anything together. If before we do a live, before I take you on as a client, I want to see what your energy is about. I want to see if we are like-minded individuals that we can work together and come to uh you know
Yeah, collaboration. Yeah.
conclusion.
Agreement.
Exactly. If not, then
Mm,
when you feel
yeah.
when you feel that it's not right, follow your intuition. Follow it.
Yeah. Yes. So, yeah, that's a great question. So, in terms of that, so I pretty much it's important to have like sales calls. I've taken tons and tons of sales calls over my career and tried to, get better and better at, closing clients and things like that. And so, pretty much like before you ever work with anyone, you always want to get on like a call first with someone, a Zoom call or whatever, or even if, even if they don't feel comfortable doing Zoom and they might feel more comfortable doing audio, you can do that. You can always make accommodations, but as long as like you can at least like hear the person's voice or things like that. And so, like for me, I get on a lot of like Zoom calls and I kind of and that's kinda where, like, I figure out, like, the energy, like, a certain person has. Um, like, I was on a call with this one lady, a while back, and she just seemed like an amazing fit, and she just seemed super nice. She seemed like she had, like, a genuine goal to just, like, grow in her business and things like that, and it seemed like she took it very seriously because she paid for other programs before, and they didn't work. And so, it's really, really important to, like, just know it also helps you get a sense of commitment from someone, when you're on a call with someone, helps you know how committed they are to, your service and, what you offer. And again, it also kinda lets you know, again, like you said, you get a feel for their energy. It allows you to kinda, like, see, "Okay, is this person, not gonna, is this person gonna be rude to me? Like, do I wanna work with this person?" Like, that's what's important, and then, like, am I gonna feel, like, invested in this person's growth if we work together? Because some people again, the people that just treat you like crap, like, you're just not gonna be you're kinda gonna be a little bit despondent, sometimes. Because that's what I was doing before when I was undercharging myself. um you know, I would just take what I could get or whatever. I would pretty much just take what I could get on calls with people, and, no matter what happened, I would just, um, I would just, try and, like, tough it out and things like that. And also, it's really, really important to know, like, the importance of, if this person's just gonna be, an a-hole to you for, like, the next however long you're working together, refunds, it's okay to just give a refund, guys. I understand, maybe, I understand people are in different situations, so I want to be, cognizant of that. But unless it's like really, really gonna help you out, like it's important to even then if it's gonna help you out, how are you gonna feel? How stressed out are you gonna be about this person? You
Mhm.
know, how how is it gonna make you feel to, have to think about this person, like, in the back? Because when I was working with people where they were when I was working with not the best people, I would even get nightmares at night. I would get nightmares and think, "Oh my goodness, like, what's gonna happen?" They would be calling me, texting me, like, at 2 a.m., saying, "Where's this? Where's that? You did this wrong. You did that wrong a million times."
Mm-mm, mm-mm,
When I felt like I was trying my hardest, and so I would get nightmares, I would shake at night, like, I was like it was really, like, kinda jarring, and then after that, I realized, "Okay, never again, refund, take your money back, I'm out."
absolutely.
Like, that's how bad it could get.
All money, not good money, okay? Especially
Mhm.
you gotta go through all of that, okay?
Yeah, it's okay to give refunds, guys. Like if it's super bad and it's like causing you immense stress, but also like again, it's like keeping you up at night and like this person just kind of feels, and this person it feels like this person's kind of taking advantage, of you and things like that. Like a refund, like, just, "Here, take your money, I am done." Like, just refund and get out of there. Like, because it's so, so important to again, like, doing a skill, like, it should be fun. Like, it should be like a good it should be like an awesome experience. You should feel growth from the experience. It should be, again, working with people you wanna work with. It's so empowering. It's such an awesome thing to do when you're just working with like-minded people that have those goals and you're helping them achieve those goals. It's an amazing feeling, and that's why it like makes me love what I do. And hopefully it makes what other people love what they do and like teaching, and helping people out, whether it's whatever service they like put out there. Like it's important to work with people that you want to work with and people that you vibe with and people that again you want to see their success and they're invested in their own success and seeing the fruits of those labor and working together, working even through tough times and working in and working things out like in like a true partnership and things like that. And so again and again that experience is so great that taking, crap or whatever from bad people, like, it just makes it so beneath and so not worth any of your time or energy, and so that's like, just don't be afraid to give out a refund and just be done with a person that's not, that's taking advantage of you and not making you enjoy what you do, so that's just
Absolutely, because we know it doesn't get any better, so cut your ties when the person show you who they are, believe it and move on.
mhm, mhm. Yep, and even then, again, that's why it's important to always charge what you're worth, guys. Do not, again, feel bad about charging what you're worth. I know a lot of people feel like it's a hard thing to figure out, but if you feel like you can genuinely help somebody, like that's kind of where it is. And also, again, also getting on calls and like asking like qualifying questions, like what's your needs, like what problems do you have, what goals do you have, making sure you're a right fit too. And so like that's important as well. And so again, you always want to make sure that, when you're working with someone, you kind of just feel it, that oh, this is going to be like a good one, kind of. And so based on the questions you ask, their answers and, their energy, their demeanor, like you kind of just know, kind of, in your mind. And so that's kind of where that's at.
I know you're gonna have to leave soon, but I wanted to ask you about your
Yeah.
evolution since you came to Substack. You and I, um, came together after I got on in November, okay? I don't know
Mhm.
how our paths crossed, but we did, and you helped me through your blueprint, system
Y-
that you created.
Yeah.
Okay, and that I'm sure you still helping creators with. So you want to talk about where you are in that journey since we had our interview June the 6th?
Oh yeah. Oh, so yeah, thanks. So what Margaret's talking about is the consistent writing blueprint. Work was able to was again, like I said, guys, energy. So again, me and Margaret got on a call, felt the energy, felt awesome, and you were an amazing person to work with. Loved the experience, and so
I'm glad.
yes, and I loved working with Margaret. So it was basically called the consistent writing blueprint. And from there, like the programs like evolved even more. And so I've been, listening to, more feedback from people, getting their input. And so the program itself has kind of evolved. It still keeps, those core principles of consistency and writing and things like that. But it's also evolved to be also about, lead generation as well and how to get more clients and also how to be able to, charge for, again, monetize your skills and to be able to, again, get paid for what you're worth. And so, it's kinda like, branched out to, that aspect as well. Not just like the consistency is always gonna be a core part of it, but also, the personal branding to, again, build your own business off of your skills and, again, monetize and make money from it via Substack and other ways and things like that. Basically, to do what I'm doing. And so, that's kinda, what it's evolved into. I've worked with some great people, worked with people in the fitness realm as well. Again, really loved working with you, Margaret, your experience, especially, you in government, as an engineer as well. You worked with the lead of engineers. And also, again, in your leadership and what you're doing with, the empowered leader. And so it was, again, love working with people like you. And so, again, carried that into, different and various industries. I'm doing pretty well right now, and so I'm really happy about that. Working with people I want to work with, again, that's a huge thing. Never forget that, guys. And so, yeah, like the program's kind of evolved as I gotten more feedback. But it's been so much fun, just again, and just learning people's stories. I'm also doing this thing on my newsletter where I'm featuring people in my newsletter where I'm like doing interviews with like various different experts in different fields. And, I'm just kind of, I'm doing an interview. I'm interviewing these people, asking them questions about Substack, about like their skills and stuff, their background. And, I'm getting like the transcripts and stuff. And I'm basically putting it in my newsletter too. And so, that's been a really fun experience as well. Just sort of, also, you always want to keep getting like the temperature of the market and things like that. And just, knowing how things are going and just how, pick people's brains. Again, like I said, I've always been, a big listener and I've always like enjoyed, listening to, like if you're someone that has like this crazy skill and like, or this like skill again, like I mentioned with plumbers, like, I'd love to interview a plumber because, like, I think what they do, like, I it sounds interesting, and I wanna know, their background, what it took, and things like that, their education, like, things like that, and so, I guess I'm just really interested in, like, learning about people, how they get good at what they do, and, how they kinda use that and sorta, help the world with that, and so, that's sort of, always been, something that I've enjoyed and loved to do along this journey and along this process. And obviously, again, you want to keep growing and want to keep, obviously money, we all want more money and stuff. And so, obviously keeping that in mind, but also making sure that, I'm making sure it's still fun, I guess, is kind of like where I would put it. Because, um, during my writing career, like, like I like this is like the first this is like doing what I'm doing now, with the consistent writing blueprint and, helping experts, build a personal brand and also, monetize their skills on, via Substack and, writing on Substack. It's really been, one of the first times I was like really, really, really happy doing something. Not necessarily as a writer. Like the last time was like when I was writing on Medium, because like on Medium, I was just kind of like able to I was new. I could kind of just write whatever. I was writing whatever it was life. Politics was, how things were going back then. 2020 was, a real ride. So I was writing about that stuff, and things like that. Just writing about a bunch of different stuff. And that's kind of like where I felt very happy and stuff is just kind of just, writing, in a room, just putting my thoughts out there, seeing, what happens and things like that. And I love, kind of teaching others, how to do that and also how to, monetize and, again, make their journey, not have as many, failures and mistakes and pitfalls as mine was because it was a long journey for me. I'm trying to help shorten it for other people in, 3 months and stuff because this is a 3 month long program and everything. So, sorry. Hope that helps.
You said 3-month program. Do you have like registration where people can come and say, "Hey, I want to sign up for your program"?
So, so for that, for people that wanna, come, to the program, I still like to get on calls with those people just to make sure, we're a good fit and everything, and so, for that, I still get, DMs and stuff from, like, other people. I get, like, a couple of referrals and stuff from past clients and things like that, and so, from that, yeah, even for, like, referrals and stuff, I like to get on calls with them too just to make sure, we're the right fit. Because again, guys, you never know. So so
Never
you
know.
yeah, you never know, so you always wanna make sure, so, yeah, I've been getting, referrals from people. Again, I do also have, like, a referral program for, past clients in my program where if you refer someone to me and I sign them, I'll give you $500, and so that's one thing I'm doing, also applies for you you are if you wanna do that too. Um
Absolutely.
yeah, so yeah, I'm making sure to I love, giving back to and like putting it back in there, just, a thank you from, my clients and my past clients and, just sort of, thanks so much. Again, it's all love, the energy is like amazing, that I get from, my past clients. I love also checking in, seeing how they're doing and things like that. The journey never ends, with me. So I'm always gonna, be like checking in the background. I might not yell, "Hey," or whatever, but I'm always like watching in the background, so.
Absolutely. As my mother used to say, watch as well as pray.
Mm, that's a
Okay?
word. Yep. Prayer is powerful too. So.
Absolutely. Um, so this referral program that's considered an affiliate program, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't really yeah, it's pretty much like that. I don't really put like a specific name to it. It's just kind of, just, if you refer me, you get $500 and it's just kind of and I close them. Also, you got to have proof, that, you sent the person, cuz you don't want to, just like get people saying, "Ah, I referred, this person, that person, this person." You want to have proof, that, that you referred them and stuff. But yeah, it's pretty much, you can think of it as an affiliate program. It's really, just a program of, if I sign someone, and close them and you refer them to me, you get $500 as a reward for, showing my program to that person and getting them, on the call with me. And so, yeah.
Well, I can attest to your program helped me considerably. I mean, considering, I went from academic writing, then technical writing with the government, and then writing on Substack is completely different. Okay.
Mm.
So that's why I reached out to you because I wanted my A game. I bring my A game. Okay.
Mm.
So you see my shirt
Hey,
here?
hey, I see it.
Yeah.
I
Detroit versus everybody. When you
everybody.
come, you bring your A game because I know you're from Ohio State, so I had to represent.
Oh, I see. See, having a rivalry.
Go blue. Much love for you, though. You know that.
Yeah, love it, love it,
Okay.
love it.
So,
Awesome.
do you have anything else you want to share today?
Um,
Let me see if there's any questions.
oh yeah, see if it, yeah, yeah. Good idea.
Does anybody have any questions for Khadijah?
Thanks for showing up, guys. 26 people is a lot.
Yeah, right. And you can also reach out to Khadijah too. I highly recommend her because, like I said, my writing improved considerably after getting that. Having somebody look at your writing or give you feedback is how we all grow.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Also, if there are no questions, guys, one thing I do wanna mention before we go here is how much, oddly during my writing journey, I really feel like I've also risen, in my spiritual journey as well. And so that's really, really, really helped me out. And so, just, sort of making more time and more space for God and, prayer and things like that. I've been praying a lot more than I used to way back then. And I just feel like I've gotten overall closer to God during my writing journey. It's been an awesome, awesome, experience, just sort of, again, just, learning how to, take a few steps back just to make time for, the relationship, that I have with God and stuff. And so that's been, amazing as well. And so that's something that I always want to, keep and hold with me. That's one thing writing, I guess, another thing writing's helped me out with. So, you know.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. That has made the difference in my life, my evolution. Okay, going from writing poetry, going to writing articles, writing uh, research papers in school, all of these things, and the technical writing. Also, I blend all of these things in my writing. That's what I did. From my upbringing with religion, I just don't. It's spiritual, not religion. Okay, so all of these things, we are a product of our environment.
Mhm.
So I used to try to run from that. Now I embrace it. Go back to my roots. We need to go back to our roots and to bring it forth with us from the ancestors, and all of these powerful tools we have inside of us. We need to utilize them. And all of these things increases our productivity. It increases our uh, vibration and and the blessings we pass on to everyone else during our uh daily walk in life. And you have really
Yep.
touched me and
Oh,
blessed
thank
me in so
you.
many ways. I just can't tell you. It's like Maya Angelou said. I'm People may not remember your name, but they remember how you made them feel. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And that is what I people are buying. Okay.
Mm,
People are buying that. Okay. Now
that's
what's your thoughts on that?
that's what really, again, it just reaffirms why, why I do what I feel like God put this on my heart and just sort of, led me down this path, because before I didn't know what was I didn't know what was going on or what was gonna happen. And so I just feel like, everything happens for a reason. The people we meet along the way, along our journey, is all for a reason. And God puts it, in our hearts to, have relationships with certain people. We're just, led to that. And when we're led to it, it we come out and we just end up feeling, it just feels like it changes our lives for the better. At every, step, when you make those relationships, when you have those relationships, and when you keep up with those relationships, and like, it just continues to, help us grow. And especially, and again, it also helps put us, whenever we stray away, sometimes those relationships also help put us back on our path, that God has us on. So, well, thanks for that.
And with vision, we are able to see through the storm. Okay?
Mhm.
Because there are many storms in life. And from those storms, there's a cloud. There's a silver lining behind every cloud. And if we just remember that this too shall pass. Okay.
Amen. Mhm.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. I wanted to touch on that. Okay. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a pleasure. I love, this is an awesome, awesome conversation. Love talking to you. Love feel like you always, bring out, different sides, the best of me, things that, I probably wouldn't talk about to nobody else, feel comfortable with you enough to do it. And, I guess that's why, God brought us together. And so, I
Absolutely.
yeah, and so this was an awesome, awesome talk. Definitely my favorite live I've ever done on Substack.
Well, thank you so much. Likewise. Okay. I've done so many. I lose count.
You've been killing it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So do you have any closing words that you would like to share with everyone?
Um, I guess the main thing I would say is that, you know, listen to you know, people might not be as, not really religious, but, spiritual, as I am. But for me, I guess the advice I would give is, if God, puts, a purpose or puts a purpose in your heart and he leads you to fulfill that purpose, and you stick with the journey and, you don't give up and God keeps telling you, stay on here, don't give up and things like that. It's the relationships you build along the way that sort of make life, the most fulfilling. And so, it's important to, stick with that and, always have that in your mind. Always, make time to, build those relationships with others. Cause again, you never know how long you have on this earth. It's important to, continue to build those relationships, have fun, build something with others. Again, it's so powerful, what God, allows us to do when we just speak to other people, know their experiences, know their story, i.e. storytelling, where they come from, and just sort of, build off of that. And so that's a really amazing, blessing, from God to all of us. And so just continuing to, fulfill, the purpose that, God laid out for me and things like that. So, and make sure to fulfill the purpose that God laid out for you guys too. And know your worth too. So, because if God loves you, and that's pretty much all that matters. So, again, know your worth.
Sister, thank you so much.
Yeah, my
Thank you.
pleasure.
All right.
Awesome.
You take care and I will be in touch with you.
Awesome. You take care too, Margaret. You're doing awesome. And again, can't wait to see you again. I know you're doing like a bunch of other lives too, so gonna check those out. And again, everyone check out Margaret, the Empowered Leader. Great newsletter. And again, just another person doing God's work. So
And you too. You guys sign up for Khadijah as well. She's doing amazing work as well.
thank
Thank you
you
so
so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. Peace out.
All right.